Okay, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo's Road to Infinity War, where tonight we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And remember, if you like what you see, please hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and hit the little bell so you'll be notified of future videos.
We almost died because of your arrogance.
More like because he stole Anulax batteries.
They're called Harbulary batteries.
No, they're not!
You know why I did it, Star Munch?
You're not gonna answer, Star Munch.
I did it because I wanted to.
Dick.
What are we even talking about this for? We just had a little man save us by blowing up 50 ships.
How little?
Like this?
A little 1-inch man saved us.
Well, if he got closer, I'm sure he'd be much larger.
Hey, that's how eyesight works, you stupid raccoon.
Don't call me a raccoon!
I'm sorry. I took it too far. I meant trash panda.
Is that better?
I don't know. It's worse. It's so much worse.
Okay, performances. Of course, as in every Marvel movie, everyone was excellent. I don't remember a bad performance, really. Kurt Russell, Sylvester Stallone, even Michael Rosenbaum did great in his spot.
With Martin X, that was excellent. You know, we also got Pam as Mantis. She did amazing in that role. I mean, really, everyone. James Gunn just really brings out the best in everybody. Gets strong performances, and just I hope he never stops making Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, the plot for this movie, I just can't say enough about James Gunn and how not only does he bring his story full circle from the movie, but he also brings so many things forward from Volume 1 that he kind of adds here. I didn't expect to see the daddy issues resolved with Volume 2. I really thought he would stretch that out to Volume 3. He didn't. He resolved it here. It was so well done. Ego was an amazing, villain. And as you know, in the comics, Ego is not Star-Lord's dad, but Jason. So I think this is better the way it worked out. It kind of took it. Star-Lord lost a lot more by stopping Ego. He basically lost almost godhood, almost, immortality almost, and he gave that up to do the right thing. And I think that shows a lot about Star-Lord as a hero.
Come now, Peter. I know this isn't what you want. What kind of father would I be to let you make this choice?
Other items of note. I looked a few of these up. Taserface was actually from a race that is called the Stark, and that's because they found Iron Man technology that landed on their world. This is in the comics, obviously, not in the...
Not this Taserface!
Right, not this guy. And then they worship Tony Stark, so that's why they're called the Stark. Your turn. We'll go back and forth.
That sounds good. I like at the beginning of the game how the Mattel football game was his sensor to get this thing. I loved that game as a kid.
I used to play it.
I did too. I loved it. It was great. Now it looks like trash, but with all the cool video games we got. The Baby Groot dance in that first fight was actually choreographed and done by James Gunn. Thought that was cool. And I still makes me laugh when Groot stopped dancing when Drax was watching.
Yeah, because he knows that Drax disapproves. Because and he mentions it in the movie because he with his wife. What was her name? Odette or something like that. She wouldn't move a muscle. You'd think she was dead. He doesn't like dancers. I think that's funny. And we'll combine on this one.
Yeah.
This takes place 3 months after the first Guardians movie, which puts it in actually Phase 2 timeline. And what did you say earlier?
But it is a Phase 3 movie.
It's a Phase 3 movie.
It is the only Marvel movie that takes place in a different phase, or the time it's placed is in a different phase than the phase it's in the movie.
It's actually before Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Go.
You know, that space scene when the Sovereign is chasing them after Rocket steals the ancillary batteries.
Harbulary batteries?
It reminded me of Galaga, which I thought was funny because, you know, we saw in the first Avengers, Tony Stark pointed out that SHIELD guy who was playing Galaga. I don't know if that was James Gunn playing on that or not, but I thought that was really cool. You know, Ego calling Rocket a triangle-faced monkey. And Rocket's like feeling his face to see if it's triangle. There's just so much in these movies that are just amazing. And one thing, speaking of Rocket, when we do see him in Infinity War, is he going to want the Winter Soldier's arm?
Oh, that's funny. Another thing, at the beginning of the movie, the Mustang they're driving, same colors as the Milano. Let's see here. Go ahead if you got something else.
Oh yeah, you know, Stan Lee's cameo in this movie where he's talking about being a Federal Express man. This movie actually takes place before Civil War. James Gunn has admitted it was a mistake on his part, but I hope, like in Captain Marvel, when we come up, because we know it's going to take place in the 90s, maybe we'll see Stan Lee as another Federal Express man making this right.
That would be cool.
And during the jumps too, we also see two Cronins fighting. That's the Rock guy from Thor: Dark World, and you know, I forget his name in Ragnarok.
I don't know his name.
Korg.
Korg
From Thor: Ragnarok is from the same race. You know, twice in this movie we see Groot like trying to beat up Drax. The first time is when in the first fight he gets smashed into the music player and the music gets turned off. He starts hitting him, and then when they're getting on the ship and he calls him a smaller, dumber Groot.
Yeah.
And Groot like goes up and hits him. It's just little things like that that, I mean, he throws into all these movies. That just make.
Did you know that Groot in Dutch means big? So he's actually saying "I am big."
If he's speaking Dutch.
If he's speaking Dutch, yeah. He's probably not.
You know, we just see so much of, you know, we talked about what Star-Lord had given up to stop Ego. You know, we also see Drax holding Mantis up when the ground is kind of bringing him under.
Yeah, very selfless, I thought.
I mean, everyone in this, they're really coming together as, you know, not only a team, but a family. They really, you know, care for each other.
And I think that's really gonna, I think that's why they saved him for the end of the preview on the New Avengers. Because, you know, I feel like they're gonna be the ones that, you know, put him over the top as in defeating Thanos. That's my opinion, but that could come in a later video. We don't know.
You may see it. You know, we also, when Ego is talking to Peter and he's showing him his plan for the expansion, you know, we see eternity in Peter's eyes. The cosmic character from the MCU looks a lot like him.
Yeah.
And then kind of, you know, the credits, and we'll talk about we may talk about it, there's post-credit scenes here in a minute.
Of course.
But during the credits, the Grandmaster's in there.
Yeah.
Who, you know, Jeff Goldblum plays in Thor: Ragnarok. I thought that was so cool. The whole credits for this movie is just so well done. Things say "I am Groot" and they change to the real thing, and there's gifs of
And
people
everybody
dancing.
sits there and watches the regular credits go up, you know, like, but this was just as entertaining as the movie. A few other items. Michael Rooker, you know, Yondu, was in a cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone in which they met on a cliff, and it was a snowy, and they had tension between them, just like in this movie when they meet. There's tension between them, and it's snowing. Also, Peter Quill's grandfather was from the first movie was driving away when one of those plants from Ego expanded, and he got away. But that was him in the second movie, so that's kind of cool. Did you know that the girl who plays Aisha is actually 6'1"?
No.
Yeah, and they gave her boots in this movie to make her 6 inches taller. So she was actually 6'7" as Aisha.
Wow.
Neat.
I am Groot.
What's that?
He says, "Welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy." Only he didn't use frickin'.
Bye, Twig.
He
may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I'm sorry I didn't do none of it right. I'm damn lucky you, my boy.
What? Sent word to Yondu's old Ravager buddies, told them what he did.
Everything you've got, but you will still
It's a Ravager funeral.
But your dreams may not. How can I try to...
All right, we're back. You thought it was over, but we're back. We're going to talk about the 5 post-credit scenes from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The first one, we see Kraglin practicing with Yondu Zero. We know that Rocket picked it up and fixed it, and Peter gave it to Kraglin because he said Yondu would want you to have it. You know, kind of humorous when he finally gets it working a little bit. It hits tracks, and he's just screaming, and he like runs off.
The second one, where the Ravengers get together and Sylvester Stallone. What is his actual name in the movie?
I mean, he's Starhawk, but I can't remember his.
Yeah, he calls himself. But you know, the death of Yondu bringing them back together, and then you know, my favorite part is when Michael Rosenbaum just goes dope. You know, that's cool.
And you know, with seeing them getting them back together, I wonder if they're going to start out as possibly the villains in Volume 3, fighting the original Guardians, and then when Adam Warlock shows up, you know, maybe they're going to team up to stop Adam Warlock, or something else will come, and Adam Warlock will be an enemy at first, but then team with the Guardians to stop a bigger threat. So much could happen. You know, I cannot wait to see the third volume of this movie. And leading into the third is the third post-credit scene, where we see Aisha sitting there, and she basically says, I've made our next evolution. I will call him Adam. Obviously, I'm referring to Adam Warlock,
Yes.
which, as I watched it again, I'm wondering if the Soul Stone is somehow a part of him, like it was in the comics. And maybe we'll see the Sovereign and Adam Warlock in Infinity War if Thanos goes to get it. Possibility, but maybe not, because James Gunn has said he's always been pretty honest with people that we won't see Adam Warlock until Volume 3. And he's been honest, so I tend to believe him, but...
Yeah, well, I'm going to leave my thoughts on that until another video. The fourth scene is obviously Teenage Groot. Groot. It's awesome. You just pick up your vines, or is that what it is? His vines. You leave your vines everywhere. He's Star-Lord taking on like the fatherly role. It's great, and you've seen it in the previews for Infinity War when they're flying, and he says, put that down. I won't have to tell you again. He says, I'm Groot, and they're like, oh, language.
Well, and I wondered too, as watching this, remember, they couldn't understand Groot at first.
Right.
So did the universal translators they use get updated with Groot's vocabulary, or do they just understand him now?
I think they do from being around him. You know, I mean, that's probably how Rocket figured it out. You know? But you never, I don't know, maybe not.
Yep. And then the last post-credit scene is we see Stanley with the Watchers. And he's like, hey, I got more stories, as they're walking away, which a lot of people have said he's a Watcher, but maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just an informant for the Watchers, because he doesn't seem to be a part of them, because one, he doesn't look like them, and two, once they got the information from him, they were just kind of leaving him, which I hope he's not still out in space.
Oh, it's a shame that it took the tragedy of losing Yondu to bring us all together again. But I think he'd be proud knowing that we're back as a team. I'm in. Dope.
I miss you guys so much.
Hell yes.
Let's say we steal some shit.
I think I shall call him Adam.
I am Groot.
I'm not boring. You're boring. You know what's boring? Sitting there playing that mind-numbing game. What's boring is me tripping over your vines every day. I'm not boring. And now I know how Yondu felt.
Hey, fellas. Hey, wait, where are you going? Hey, you were supposed to be my lift home. How'll I get out of here? Hey, gee, I've got so many more stories to tell. Guys. Oh, gee.